Hello everyone, welcome back to the MitoTalk series, and here we are to discuss the episode 2, and we discuss about mitochondria, disease and the search for longevity. In part 1, we explored the ancient roots of mitochondria, their role in energy and how they help to hinder our aging process. Now for the part 2 of MitoTalk, we dive into the mitochondrial map of the body, their impact on disease and the cutting edge science, trying to preserve the fire within. Not all mitochondria are the same. Though their core function, that is energy production, is consistent, mitochondria slightly behave differently depending on where they are in the body. So, in muscle cells, they are densely packed, forming intricate network to meet constant energy demands. However, in neurons, they are dynamic, migrating along the axons, responding to calcium signals, and they even help to regulate the neurotransmitter release. In the liver, mitochondria act as metabolic masters, where they're processing toxins, managing fat, and controlling glucose. On the contrary, in egg cells, the only cells that pass on mitochondrial DNA, there are hundreds of thousands of mitochondria. It's nature's way of ensuring that only the strongest, healthiest mitochondria are being inherited.
It's fascinating. We are beginning to build what you could call a mitochondrial map of human body. Recently, there was a mitochondrial map of human brain. It was a lovely image. One should look at it. For example, cardiac mitochondria have unique enzymes that allow them to survive oxygen deprivation during heart attack. Meanwhile, immune cells have mitochondria that help them control inflammation and even pathogen sensing. This map is helping researchers understand why certain diseases strike specific organs. It's not just bad luck, it's mitochondrial behavior in that tissue. When mitochondria go rogue, diseases follow. Let's explore that in this segment, mitochondria and diseases, where it's more than energy loss. Beyond the classic mitochondrial disorders, which are often rare, devastating, and genetic, we now know that dysfunction of mitochondria are at core of many common diseases. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, diabetes, heart failure, they all show signs of mitochondrial breakdown. Mitochondria produce excess ROS, signal the immune system, and even release molecules that trigger inflammation. In cancer, mitochondria play a double role. Some tumors rely heavily on glycolysis, even in the presence of oxygen, but others, especially aggressive and metastatic ones, rely on mitochondrial respiration. They even mutate their mitochondrial DNA to gain advantage, like resistance to cell death.
This evolutionary behavior, the mitochondria adapting, mutating, and influencing the cell fate. It's like a ghost of their bacterial independence that still haunts us. And because they regulate apoptosis, damaged mitochondria can either push a cell towards premature death or let the damaged cell survive. A recipe for cancer or neurodegeneration. With that, we would like to further discuss whether we can really fix mitochondria. Now, the good news is that we are entering an era of mitochondrial medicine. One of the most intriguing approaches is mitochondrial replacement therapy, sometimes called three-parent IVF. Herein, we take the nucleus from a mother with a faulty mitochondria and implant it into a donor egg with a healthy mitochondria. So what's the result? A baby with nuclear DNA from two parents and a mitochondrial DNA from third. I know it's controversial for sure, but it opens doors. Imagine preventing diseases like Leigh syndrome or MELIS before birth. And in adults, scientists are also working on mitochondrial gene editing. They are even adapting CRISPR to target the mitochondrial DNA. A difficult task since mitochondria don't follow the same rule as the regular nucleus.
We're also exploring more subtle interventions, things like NAD plus boosters, mitochondria-targeted antioxidants like MitoQ, and compounds that enhance mitochondrial biogenesis like PGC1 alpha activators. In fact, I have my own story. We have a lot of leads on Parkinson's developed when I was at CBRI, and then Indian academia, and then when I started entrepreneurship. All of that work, which was sort of culmination of 10 years work, where we had 40 things, some of them even verified by Columbia University friends of mine. It just got pushed in back burner, something we'd like to revive now that our company is doing very well. We took some steps. Some would have been right steps if we were in US, not in India. So we had a lot of leads in COVID. We shifted to the emergency of COVID and realized that the funding ecosystem where I had problems that prevented things, a lot of things. And that's why, I mean, there is a brain drain from India, but that's the topic that gets political. I'll not get into it. But the fact is, this is something we have done firsthand in Khurana lab. And at ICE Kolkata, we started it. Then we had at CDRI. We have looked at several molecules, mostly in silico, so it's early stage, but they are all repurposed where they work for other things we found through AI work, through docking work, through even simulating neurons, circuitry that in a lot of brain health diseases, we can repurpose existing medicines which target mitochondria and head to not just stopping the progression, but a partial cure. Obviously, it's a very big claim. We are at very early stages, but we have a lot of things for various neurodegenerative disorders and even epilepsy-like diseases. So we worked extensively on it, something that has been on hold. It's also not entirely just a system's fault. It's also at my end, too many ideas. So, they can be a favorite of the season and then pursuing that. So but sort of very long-winded answer to the fact that point to the fact that we have worked on it. And now, when I look at the field again after a 5 year, 6 year gap, I see there is intense interest in mitochondrial transplantation, literally injecting healthy mitochondria into damaged tissue. Something I must admit we weren't thinking of. We thought of a lot of boosters, but we didn't think of mitochondrial transplantation, but it has been showing promise in cardiac arrest in animal models. Let's briefly look at lifestyle longevity and have some sort of final reflections. It's easy to overlook, but everyday habits exercise doesn't just build muscle, it builds mitochondria. Sleep allows mitochondrial repair. Plant-based antioxidants reduce reactive oxygen species. Again, there is a side thing which goes to Jim Watson and me. We discussed over a period of months, started with an interesting discussion. I'm referring to Jim Watson, the guy who discovered structured DNA. We had interesting, intense argument over Warburg effect, and my suggestion was over passive versus active antioxidants. We'll not go into the nuances here, but whether just passive antioxidants, which are things like flavonoids, vitamin C, various other factors, are they more responsible for anti-aging and helping mitochondria, or things synthesized by cells but potentially transported, even more active things like superoxide dismutase, catalase, and things need not even come into mitochondria and can they contribute to health, and that gets very, very detailed. But can't help it. These are things that I've worked on. But let's look at overall picture. Sleep, antioxidants, exercise, and stress, they all affect things. Chronic psychological stress is known to strain mitochondrial network. So managing that is not just emotional hygiene, it's self-preservation.
And what's striking is that mitochondria sits at the nexus of life and death, energy and entropy, ancient evolution and modern aging. There are in many ways the hourglass of our biology. But now for the first time in history, we are learning how to turn the glass to refresh the sands of time, not just by hacking genes, but by listening to the whispers of our cellular ancestors. With that, I conclude this talk. So the mitochondria are more than organelles, they are storytellers. They tell tales of ancient survival, of energy battles inside each cell, and of a future where we learn to age with grace, or perhaps not at all. Thank you for joining us on MitoTalk. Stay curious, stay energized, and keep the fire alive. Thank you so much.